there are no refunds at Comedy Masala. Please give Colin Christopher a round of applause, everyone. Genuinely saw some people cringing at that table. Folks, closing the first half. He's been away for a while. It's probably the worst intro. The last time I said that, the guy came out of back, but he's been away for a while, and he's a very unique act, very different act, and you're in for a treat, and you'll find out why. But right now, please show him some love and welcome on stage, Mr. Orion.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, happy 50th birthday, Singapore! Yeah. Alright, so we're here in Singapore and I'm wearing this sort of, this suit with a tie, speaking with this sort of accent. What generally happens is, over here in Singapore, when I'm wearing this and I'm speaking with this sort of accent, people generally think I'm either a banker or a lawyer. But you see, once I start talking like this, everything starts to change already, especially when I go there to the MRT station. And if I need to ask some random stranger a simple question like which way is the toilet, or which way is the ATM machine, or which way is the exit B, that kind of thing, I look for someone in the crowd. I go to him, I ask him, excuse me sir, can I ask you a simple question? Immediately he see me wearing this attire and he say, got insurance already. Then I say, hey, I'm not selling insurance. Got credit card already. But, ladies and gentlemen, there happen to be times that I am speaking with this kind of accent while wearing this kind of attire, speaking with a very loud voice in the middle of a hotel lobby. As soon as I stop talking, everyone in the hotel lobby starts to call me to give me their order. I'm sure you've noticed that the major landmark now of Singapore, which figured very prominently in SG50, is the MBS, okay? Of course, if those of you who don't know what that is the hotel, the 3 buildings with half of a hot dog on top of it, okay? MBS, okay? Now, if you have tried eating in the lobby over there, there are restaurants, many of the staff over there, they have this accent also. So what generally happens now is that many people refer to MBS as Manila Bay Sands. Pues amigas y amigos, la verdad es que yo soy de un país que tiene muchos problemas económicos y es por eso que tenemos que reformar la Constitución y hacer muchas cosas, ¿no? Ladies and gentlemen, you don't really need to know what I'm saying, ¿no? The fact of the matter is, it just sounds very sexy, ¿no? Yes, this happens to be the accent of a very famous tennis player. This guy, he does very well on the clay court. No? Every time it's the French Open, he's always the winner. Most of the time he's the winner. And there is something about him other than always winning on the clay court. It is that on global television, he's always having a wedgie all the time. Anyway, so over here in Singapore, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of people who generally speak like this. Now, if I hypothetically speaking, if I had blonde hair, blue eyes, and pale skin, and I was speaking just like this, a lot of people generally think I'm a fucking racist. Oops, almost stopped. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so there are all these languages and accents, and each of them actually has what we call a stereotypical sound. Now, that's what you think you're hearing when someone with a distinct accent is talking. For example, Americans kind of sound like they're always saying, wang, 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 wang. Got this big mouth, hey, yeah, man, what's going on? Oh, that over there's the John Hancock building. Wang, 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 That's why they call it an American twang, right? But for the case of the French people, the stereotypical sound of French is j'ai envie de dire qu'il y a des Français ici, hein? Où sont les Français, hein? Where are the French people? They are here, they are. Well, for the case of the French, it sounds like je, because they are always saying things like, wow, Je vais vous dire que je m'appelle Jean Valjean. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? If you are all familiar with this very famous novel by Victor Hugo, this was a novel which later became a famous musical and later became a movie which was starring these two Australian actors, Russell Crowe and Wolverine. We are talking about Les Misérables. The two main characters of the story, their names are also The hero of the story, his name is Jean Valjean, and his arch enemy, his name is Javert. Jean Valjean, Javert. So yeah, if we are going to talk about the French, we might as well talk about the people who talk like this, yeah? You will find a lot of the people who talk like this here in Singapore, working for companies like Audi, BMW, yeah? Deutsche Bank. Of course, we are talking about the Germans, yeah? Yeah, for some reason, people are so afraid of the Germans, yeah? Why are we afraid of the Germans? Is it because the Germans are so efficient and humorless? Yeah, almost everything they do is very robotic. Yeah, the music, for example, sounds like this. Sie ist ein Model und sie sieht gut aus. Very robotic, yeah. And almost everything that the Germans do is in right angles, yeah, in 90 degrees. Yeah, they do the goose step, yeah, this is fine. 90 degrees. Yeah, except for one thing which is not in 90 degrees. That is the evil salute which goes like that, yeah. It's in 45 degrees, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so if you think about it, I can understand why people are so afraid of the Germans. Because in the past 101 years, they are known to have committed 3 major massacres, yeah? 3 major massacres. Yeah, the first 2 ones, that one is in World War I and World War II. And the third one, that was not in the World War. That was in the World Cup. Yeah. Unlike the first 2 where millions died, in the third one, the Brazilians cried. Yeah, we all remember that one, yeah? But I really ask myself, why are people so afraid of the Germans when the fact is that the German language is so similar to English? Yeah? If you think about it, a lot of the words between German and English are so similar, yeah? Hand, Finger, Buch. Yeah? Was ist das? Yeah? Ist das für mich? Yeah? What is that? Is that for me? Very similar, yeah? But the only difference is that the Germans, they like to put all these small words together. Yeah? Like for the word for people's car, they say Volkswagen. Yeah? And you know, they have this word for bat, which actually means something like Fluttermaus or flying mouse. Yeah? In German it's Fledermaus. Yeah? I would not be surprised if the German word for a woman who just recently lost her virginity is Brokenheimen. So on a Sunday, you might find yourselves actually, you know, trying to do some shopping in the district where all the shopping goes, which is in Orchard. And it might so happen that you are passing by this place called Lucky Plaza. And a stereotypical sound you're going to hear when you're near there is nakakapagtaka nga naman talaga kung ano pananampalataya na napakaraming mga tao dito sa Singapore. Ang naman kasi talaga. That was in Tagalog, by the way. Okay. But anyway, talking about other stereotypes, one of the totally important stereotypes you need to understand is the stereotypical sound that you will hear whenever you try to call the IT department. The stereotypical sound you will hear is tatti, 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 tatti. And tatti actually means shit in Hindi or Urdu. Tatti, tatti, tatti. Whenever I try to do an Indian accent, I try to use a lot of the T sounds, you know. Do we really need to boot up the computer again? What exactly are you talking about? The really ironic thing about the word India, the country's name, India, is that India comes from the Indus River. It is named after the Indus River. Ironically, quite unfortunately, in this day and age, the Indus River is no longer found in India. It's found in Pakistan. You know, ladies and gentlemen, so in the Philippines, there's actually two main groups of Indians over there. It's the Punjabis and the Sindhis. And one thing about the Sindhis is they like to integrate so much and then assimilate. What they do is, a lot of them, they have traditional Indian names and they make it in English or something similar to Spanish, you know, to integrate more. So someone named Dinesh becomes Dennis. Someone named Rajesh becomes Roger. Someone named Ramon becomes Romulo, which is a Spanish name. There's a lot of that happening over there in the Philippines. And the other thing about this is that, now we're talking about this time the Punjabis, okay? Punjabis in the Philippines. They have this stereotypical business that they do, where they do micro lending. And it is actually, the situation is you borrow 5 from them and you must pay them back 6. It's called 5-6. It's a different type of business activity because in the Philippines, a lot of the Punjabis there, they do 5-6, whereas in the rest of the world, most Punjabis will be doing a 7-Eleven. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, you know, there's all these different stereotypical sounds, okay? And one of the other ones that I don't really understand is why everyone thinks that the stereotypical sound of Chinese is ching chong chang. Ching chong chang, chang ching chong. Why does everybody think that the Chinese sound like that? Because actually, if you go there to China, especially if you go to Beijing, you are not going to hear ching chong chang. Because actually, Chinese sound more like a 我也不知道为什么这是我特别好的事情。哎呀，先生啊，你叫什么名字？你为什么很喜欢这两个地方？如果你发现有任何奇迹可疑的人物，或任何有在出现的可疑物品，请通知我们的支援。That was in the Mandarin, okay? That was Mandarin, but even the other Chinese dialects, they don't sound like Ching Chong Chang either, okay? Because like when I was in Hong Kong not long ago, and I was walking the streets of Hong Kong listening to what Cantonese sounded like, it did not sound like Ching Chong Chang, because this is what it sounded like. Nothing like Ching Chong Chang. Nothing like Ching Chong Chang, guys. So anyway, what I'm going to do right now is the closest thing to a magic trick you're ever going to see me do. Okay, it's a simple thing. It's actually nothing but a simple tie change. Okay. All right. Let me see. Is this working? Okay. Does it look like a real bow tie? Like I'm wearing a tuxedo? Okay. All right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm wearing this sort of a tie now. It looks like a tuxedo, and I'm speaking like this. And so generally, the fact of the matter is, everyone was asking me, "Hey, you know, Ryan, you can speak all these languages and accents. Why didn't you become an international spy? You know, something like James Bond." So my answer was, well, actually, I originally wanted to be an international spy, but the problem is I come from a very, very poor country that cannot afford to have a spy program. So what happens is, instead of becoming a secret agent like James Bond, right, what happens to the people who can speak different languages and accents in my country, okay, instead of becoming a secret agent, they end up becoming a call center agent instead. Okay, so, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I've been here in Singapore for some time, and I've gotten myself a bit assimilated. And in that, I mean that I learned to speak Singlish, okay? So what I do in my spare time, whenever I've got friends coming over who, you know, who are newcomers to Singapore, I try to teach them how to integrate. Okay, so we teach them Singlish. And Singlish is not exactly the same as English. It's kind of different. So you have, for example, if you're an Aussie guy, you go to the bar, you order a beer. Hi there, Mike. I'd like to get a can of Tiger beer, please. Sorry, sir. Can, cannot. Bottle, can. Now, if you didn't understand that, if you don't know how Singlish works, you wouldn't understand what the hell that means, right? So, I devised a series of lessons to teach people, newcomers, a bit of Singlish. Okay, so lesson number 1, Singlish does not have a past tense. Okay? You do not say, he went there yesterday. Nope. You say, yesterday he go there already. Lesson number 2, you have to understand, sometimes even Singaporeans have trouble understanding each other. Okay? Because sometimes the pronunciation is a little too off. It's like, what are you saying? So, because I remember this, many years ago, I was with some friends. I was the only non-Singaporean, but I already spoke Singlish then. And there was one girl in the group. We had a car. We went all the way to the east side, Changi Village, where we started eating some really good food, some prata. And then we were kind of like comparing all the transvestites, who looks more like a girl, who looks more like a guy, blah, blah, blah. And then the girl said, wow, so boring already, so effing hot also. What are we going to do next? Then the guy who was driving the car, he said, what are we going to do next? We are going over there to F you. And I was like shocked, what the heck? I don't want to go to jail. The girl said, what do you mean by that? I don't know, I don't mean anything by that. I just mean we are going over there to F you. What do you mean by that? We're going to F you. That's where the airplane land. Airfield. Lesson number three. You need to have the right intonation when you speak Singlish. Okay, you gotta have this up and down zigzag tone. No. What's happened? What happened? He told me he needs to go home already. He said to me he needs to go back already lah. The other thing you need to understand about Singlish is it's not just one accent, okay? There is a general division between the rich and the poor, the masses and the elites. The masses, aka the Heartlanders, they sound, they have this higher pitched voice. Hey, what you want? You want a chicken rice? Steam or roasted? But if you go all the way to Shenzhen Way, not far from here, the CBD where all the financial companies are, all the elites are there, you're gonna hear a totally different kind of Singlish. It sounds like this. Actually, I think it's very important for us to follow the procedure properly. Otherwise, we will not get our ISO certification. But I have a good friend who's also a fellow comedian, and he was telling me, hey Orion, why are you always doing a Chinese accent? What about a Malay accent? Okay, so it's a little tricky. I'll give you a little bit of that. So, firstly, the Malay accent, you're going to hear a lot of that if you go to a police station. And you'll hear it on both sides of the interrogation desk. Both the police officer and the suspect. Joking only. So what does a Malay accent sound like? Okay, there's this very typical phrase that you normally hear, which is a combination of an insult, an acknowledgement of your existence, being Singaporean, and considering you part of the family. Okay, it goes like this. Fuck you lah, bro! Anyway, that's my Malay accent. Okay, so going back to Singlish, it's very important that you speak Singlish when you're speaking with most Singaporeans, especially janitors, okay? Because if you're one of those guys who speaks perfect grammatical Queen's English all the time, like many Indians and Pakistanis, that's why they actually do very well in the legal profession. That's why the best lawyers are usually Indian or Pakistani. Okay. The problem is, if someone straight from the subcontinent comes to Singapore, newcomer, and he starts talking to a janitor, he'll go like this. Excuse me, sir, is it totally possible for you to tell me which way the toilet is? Because the janitor does not understand, right? Because the correct way to speak with the janitor is, hey uncle, toilet where? Because there is a mapping between perfect grammatical Queen's English and Singlish. Okay? I'll give you some examples. Example number 1. Why don't you honor your commitments? You say you do, you never do. You say you come, you never come. Why? Example number 2. You're gonna hear this among friends who are having a bit of a fight, What's wrong with you? Why are you so like that? And this last one, you're gonna hear this among people in the office, okay? And chances are you've said this yourself. What are we going to do now? So how?